if it's connected with the real world. It's just a utility. It's just to make things more effective, more trusted, and more seamless, and more powerful, and more fast. And I believe a lot in tokenization of new greenfield projects. The metaverse knows how big the tile is. The metaverse knows which grinding is used. The metaverse knows which color it is of the tile. The metaverse knows who is the distributor and where you can get the tile. Then if you tokenize the company, there is no other utility than digital shares of the company. It has nothing to do with the real estate.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next issue of Stobox interview, when we get industry thought leaders and rock stars to speak about the future of tokenization, finance, real estate, and many other industries. Today, we are having Dereck, who is extremely experienced real estate entrepreneur, developer, with lots of executed deals and institutional connections. Dereck, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. I love Stobox.
Are you currently in Dubai on AIBC Summit, correct?
Here in the background, right? Burj Khalifa, here in the background. So I'm here in Dubai, yes.
And that's awesome, and it's glad to have you with us today. And I'm grateful that you found some time for this interview. Before we proceed, I encourage our viewers to subscribe to the channels and like the video so that you don't miss other amazing interviews that we're doing with the people of such a high level. And now let's proceed straight to the point. Dereck, please tell us about yourself, your background and activities.
Yes, I'm Dereck Hoogenkamp. I live in Dubai since 15 years. I'm originally from the Dutch Caribbean, and I've been a real estate developer for many years, and I created new destinations all over the world, including in Dubai. And now you have the view from my office, and in the tower in the back, that's where I live. And I'm now mainly into three things besides of real estate development. I also include the metaverse with it. So I built exact parallel twins and the real world at the same time. And then I tokenize the real estate. That is number one. Number two, I'm into something completely different also, which is the financial solutions for on and off ramp for banking. So it's a neo bank, a PSP, custody, a trust, and fully licensed and fully regulated in 60 to 70% of the world. And then on the third level, I'm also investing and advising several companies. For example, Blockchain Valley, which is an amazing metaverse project also in the real estate world, physical and parallel twin in the virtual world. And also, Yes, We Trust, which has to do with meditation and with global voting, which is more like an impact project. And then, of course, I'm also chairman of PalmFusion Technologies, which is a biometric solution that your hand is your ID, your access control, and your password and your passport. And it's fully contactless, it's non-intrusive, and it's the new future of also including in IoT projects. So that is a really short summary of what it is now.
Dereck, it's great to hear that you have such a broad background and a wide variety of interests. I guess we will focus on real estate and tokenization first, and if we have some time, we will go to other questions. And the first question that I have in relating to tokenization is, how do you promote tokenized real estate? How is it different from promoting the standard real estate? This is probably the aspect of tokenization that most issuers struggle with.
I can just answer the question, maybe better.
Sure. If you heard the question, then you can proceed.
Yeah, there's a huge difference because with tokenization of real estate and marketing real estate, I've been in that field for a very long time. Before, the only USPs were like, oh, a brand, or you can pay in this payment plan, that payment plan. You can have this rental pools and this and that. With tokenization, that is all automated. It's all there. It's fully seamless. It's very practical. And then also, if you use the metaverse with the real estate, then everything is also digital. So it's also useful for the facility management. It's also useful for the IoT. It's also useful for the post-sales, for the pre-sales, for everything, right? And also through tokenization of real estate, you can use it in fractional ownership, and which is easier to rent. And then on top of that, in tokenizing real estate, you can be you can use other technologies like NFT, non-fungible tokens, or blockchain, or any other technology to make it more secure, more effective, more seamless. And I think that is the most important. And how you market it differently, it is always differently. You have to find new unique selling points, right, when you do real estate, and it has to be useful for the user. And now I'm starting to tokenize other real estate projects, for example, in Thailand, for example, in close to Pattaya, and another one in Phuket. And it's going to be fantastic. And tokenizing real estate to get it ready is not a long time. You can launch it within 6 weeks, the full project. And then also you can reach so many more people in a much more easier way. And it is not only about the investors it's the whole investment. Here also switch in Dubai, for example, traditionally that you can just do it through tokens instead of shares, or buying from the developer direct. So that is really interesting, and I think everything is changing completely.
Thank you for your reply. It would be interesting to hear you expand more on the metaverse aspect that you mentioned. That is, how do you see the interplay between traditional physical real estate and metaverse and tokenization?
Yeah, that is super cool. I mean, I think that is fantastic because you have a parallel twin. So there's an exact parallel twin. So when something changes in a virtual world, it changes in a physical world. When it changes in the real world, it changes in the virtual world. That is the exact parallel twin. Then you can talk about the triplet, which is the gamification, which is almost everybody doing. But imagine if you have the exact parallel twin. So for example, here I'm standing here now, and this would, let's say that it is your house, and one of these tiles here, they break. The metaverse, you can click on it to change it, right? The metaverse knows how big the tile is. The metaverse knows which grinding is used. The metaverse knows which color it is of the tile. The metaverse knows who is the distributor and where you can get the tile. The metaverse knows that what is the best price to get it, where to get it. And on top of that, it's connected with smart contracts that you can immediately order, and they immediately get the best price, most effective, most speed, most efficient. So that is a really good example. Other examples are if you digitalize everything in the metaverse, then you can also, for example, fix things much easier. For example, things which you cannot see with the naked eye, right? So that is really fantastic, and it's also much more trusted because it's on. And you can use a centralized system, or you can use a decentralized system, or you can use a blockchain with nodes, which is governed. And so depends what you want to use. It's so broad, and everything is so much more effective, efficient, and seamless that it's crazy what you can do with the metaverse and real estate.
That sounds amazing. And how would you do on the technical level this interplays? Would you do it using the IoT devices so that what happens in the real world is immediately updated in the metaverse?
Yeah, first of all, what you do, for example, you use a fast blockchain and a not too expensive blockchain. That is number one. Because if you build a metaverse, for example, Unreal 5, yeah, you need a really, really fast blockchain. You can use Solana, for example, or whatever you want to use. But Solana is a good example. And for example, Blockchain Valley uses Solana because then you don't have this breaking when you walk around with your avatar in the metaverse and in your own house and you change things. That is one. Yes, also in IoT, yes, absolutely. You can integrate everything. Like, for example, if you integrate PalmFusion technologies, for example, you can do your access control, you can do your payment, you can do everything with your Palm, right? You can even do your seed trace on the Palm. You can even pay with your Palm. And you can walk around in the metaverse to also change, for example, the color of your chair or the color of your floor. You can do, and then it's automatically connected to the real world and you get immediately all the options of what you can do. So it is unlimited. Even you connect the CCTV system with with the order of the example I gave before with the towel. You connect that to even, you know where the towel is, exact location. You don't even have to be at home when the towel is changed because the guy knows exactly where the towel is, right? So there's so many advantages. I mean, I can go on for hours on not only IoT or facility management or any other things or purchasing or acquiring of real estate or payment plans or fractionalization through tokenization. It is just unlimited.
Well, it sounds to me like at some point you actually start losing the difference between the real world and the virtual world, because everything you do in one is reflected in the other. You have, instead of augmented reality or duplicated reality, you have a merged reality of real world and the virtual one.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. I think the word merged reality is a really good word, and not only virtual reality, but I like to call that you have to have consciousness and utility in the metaverse. So not only utility, which I already explained before, but also consciousness. So I think this point is very important because you have to watch out that the metaverse doesn't take over your real life. No, and I believe if you only do metaverse, it's a complete fantasy world, right? You can do the triplet either way. So you can gamify it, what most people are doing. But you have to see the utility of the metaverse with real estate. And that is the most important. And the people are still alive, right? They're not, everybody is not chipped yet, right? So that is the really important, that it's connected with the real life, that you have an exact parallel twin of your, for example, your apartment or your villa, right? And that is for me the biggest advantage. The triplet, yes, gamification. Then you can say, okay, we can put crazy stuff and we can do crazy stuff. But also, for example, if you have paintings in your house, which are going to be NFT paintings, right? Or wallpaper with interactive wallpapers. I mean, where do you change it? You change it in the metaverse, that it changes automatically in the real world, right? So I can continue giving you thousands of examples.
So your point is that it's important to have people not get lost in the virtual world and remember about real life, and especially given that we are at the point of quite significant economic instability and political instability. Instead of solving their real world and real life problems, people can simply go and play in the metaverse instead of building things here. Is it your concern?
I mean, honestly, I'm not so concerned. I think it's a really good example. For example, when the first steam train or steamboat came on the market, they said, "Oh, the steam train is a devil, right? And everybody will get destroyed, and it's going to be the end of the world, right?" So this is this. So
Sure.
what you can really see, it's really important that for example, if I walk as my avatar, right? I have my own avatar. I have an interactive avatar, which is there, and I walk around the real estate, and I can do a lot of things. But it's very important that everything has to be involved with morals and ethics, and everything has to be done well. There will be, the only concern I really have is going to be regulation of the metaverse, because imagine somebody steals my avatar ID and then walks as me in the metaverse, right? That is a little bit of a problem. Or how are you going to regulate who can use my avatar, and or how you're going to do that, and it's not like, do you have to buy your own avatar even though it's you? That's a good question. I'm not so worried about people going in that the virtual world is going to take over the real world. I'm not worried about that. I do see a parallel world, and a useful parallel world with utility, but I'm not worried about that. But I'm worried about, there's always bad in some people, and they want to use it for the bad. And this example which I gave before, when you had the steam locomotive coming out, they thought it was the devil, it was the end of the world, and everybody was against it, and they said, "Oh, this is too crazy." But you see, now we don't even think about it. Now we have fighter jets, we have planes, we have spaceships, we have everything, right? So I'm not so concerned. I'm just hope that we can do it for the best. And there is a lot of good utility for this, and a lot of impact also. You can to the metaverse. For example, if you take education and real estate, if you have in Africa, now there's, for example, the people in the village don't have any education. And then you can just put one avatar there in a metaverse, which teaches everyone in that village when there is no teacher there normally, right? So that's also a good example of an impact thing. So I think there's a lot of positive things. People like to look at the negative things, but I look at the positive side of things.
That's a very interesting perspective, and thank you for sharing your thoughts on the issue that we're going to see in the metaverse. Probably many of our viewers who are entrepreneurs themselves and who are probably interested in the metaverse will want to consider them, or maybe even come up with a solution. While I would suggest that we come back to the topic of tokenized real estate, also in real life. And one of the biggest questions and most important ones in relation to tokenized real estate is liquidity, and how do you create one? So it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on the liquidity of tokenized real estate and how you can enhance it.
Yeah, I mean, the liquidity of tokenized real estate is not really a problem, right? It's the, for example, in my solution of my financial solution of my bank, I can swap token immediately to fiat, or fiat to crypto, or to IBAN and everything, right? So that's just the question. Liquidity is there now in the normal market, and it will be there in the tokenized market. So I don't see that at all as a problem.
So it's just a matter of adoption by investors. So currently, from our conversations with other real estate projects in secondary markets, it seems that people don't trade tokenized real estate very often. They rather see it as a long-term investment. So in your opinion, it's just a matter of market catching up and more investors coming to trade the tokenized properties.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, I see myself that the properties I'm going to tokenize now, they will see the result, and they all will want it at the end. They're just afraid, and that's it. And they're just afraid to try something new, and that is what it's about. I mean, remember when you could buy for the first time a property with a company, and you could sell the shares. So that was also very scary in the beginning. And now it's normal if you buy it like an individual or like with a company. So there's no much difference. It's just about adoption. That's it. And about what is really important, what you said about if you're a really big company and you're fully regulated, you have to deal with an entity which is fully regulated. If you are a company which is not regulated and you're trying to tokenize real estate, no, you need to be a regulated company. You need to have a banking license. You need to have a PSP license. You need to have a payment solution, payment provider, banking, traditional and digital, all in place, because then you can really provide it. That's why, for example, institutions and banks are not going yet into the new digital era, but they are now, because there are now companies like my own company also, which has the full thing from traditional banking to fully audited, fully regulated. So it's against the policy of decentralization, but that is what they want to see, right? Because they're scared that decentralization will take over. So that's why also they don't want to invest yet. So.
It's interesting because in the traditional world, it's actually institutions who more often invest in unregulated deals compared to retail investors. So it's actually private equity is dominated by institutions. So in your opinion, while according to your words, on a tokenized market, regulation is more important. So do you think it just is a reason for that is that the market is early and investors need more factors that increase trust, or is it going to be a long-term factor?
No, it will go much quicker than we think, and they will have to adopt. So they will have to. So there's no choice, right? They will have to adopt. Sorry, there's just started some music here from the fountains. I'm really sorry. Now it's gone.
Yeah, no worries. Doing interviews and conferences sometimes can be quite fun and confusing at the same time.
Yeah, because
of everything
we're doing
that's going on.
We're doing a live one, so things happen, right?
No worries on that regard. And the next question I have is on the interest in tokenizing their real estate portfolios from portfolio owners. Is the interest already there? And is the market taking off, or they are still afraid and still looking at what others are doing?
No, of course the market is taking off. I'm getting into it myself. Otherwise, I would never get into it, right? So, of course, the market is there. And of course, people want to get in. But there's just not yet a lot available. And I believe a lot in tokenization of new greenfield projects. I don't believe so much in tokenization of existing buildings, let's say, right? Why is that? Because I believe that you need a metaverse for the whole project and then tokenize it. I don't see really to tokenize a real estate through a special purpose vehicle, SPV, a company which you put on top, and then you tokenize. That means you're not tokenizing the real estate. That means you're tokenizing shares of a company which holds the real estate. I'm talking about tokenizing the real estate. So it's a huge difference.
Why, in your opinion, this difference is paramount and crucial to the success of the project?
Yeah, because if you digitalize everything, there's much more utility. If you just tokenize the company, you're not tokenizing the real estate. Then if you tokenize the company, there is no other utility than digital shares of the company. It has nothing to do with the real estate.
Okay, now I understand your point. So so if you tokenize the real estate completely as a metaverse object and not simply as a ownership of the equity in the property, then you get
Correct.
much more things that you can do with the token,
Correct.
which you can access.
Correct. Yeah. Or in that metaverse, you can even do multiple tokens. With one project, you do multiple tokens. So one is for the open ownership, one is for the utility, one is for, but it's all the same metaverse, and they are all connected. Because if you, and then you have the parallel twin and the gamified triplet, right? And the parallel twin should not be individually sold because it's connected to the real estate, right? And the triplet, you can do whatever you want. You can sell it, that's like what they do in Decentraland or in all other places, right?
And what about existing properties? Why wouldn't they replicate themselves in the metaverse and then do the tokenization?
It's possible, but it's much more work and much more difficult, but it's possible.
I see. So it's also a matter of time.
Because most of the properties, they don't, for example, I'm not digitalizing only the things you can see, but I'm also digitalizing all the cabling, all the sewage, even the land itself, the soil, the water, everything. Everything. So if you have an existing property, then you have to have really good cut files, really detailed cut files to do this, right?
Mm-hmm. Probably current metaverse engines and protocols don't support tokenizing the property in that detail. That is tokenizing sewers, tokenizing soil, and that rich level of details that goes into the real property. Are you doing the evolution of the metaverse technology as well in order to token protocols of metaverse in order to make it possible?
Yes. Yeah, we're doing it, for example, with Blockchain Valley. It's a physical project in Sofia, 10 minutes from Sofia. It's 2 million square meters, and we're doing it there. So that's what we're doing. So it is a real use case scenario at the moment.
That's fascinating. And
yes.
The next question I have, a bit more global one, is about the implication that we are going to see and how the world is going to change at the point when we have a major adoption of real estate tokenization. So probably a lot is going to change. For example, some money is going to come from bank deposits and from a banking system into the real estate, which will impact the lending markets in itself. You're going probably to see more liquidity in the real estate. This may, for example, make the market more volatile and create more cycles. So there's probably a lot that is going to change, and it would be great to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, look only at fractionalization of real estate, right? So you could tokenize also for the days of the year, right? Let's say 365 or 360. Normally you do 364 tokens, and then you take 1 day for maintenance or 2 days in the leap year, right? And then you can even rent out per day through token. That is, for example, a good example. So that will change. And I mean, everything will change. I mean, of course, but change is for the good. But in reality, if it's connected with the real world, it's just a utility. It's just to make things more effective, more trusted, and more seamless, and more powerful, and more fast, and also more relaxed. Because in that sense, you don't lose time on, and you have less human error also. So that is what it is. Of course, it will. The legalized papers is, of course, which you have to work on, but that can be solved also in collaboration with the authorities. You can also do another system which is non-regulated, but I believe in a regulated system.
So you believe that there are going to be much more creative use cases and business models enabled by this utility and tokenization?
Correct.
That would be definitely fascinating to see. Dereck, thank you for this interview. Our time is running up. It was a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for taking the time from the conference to speak to us. That was definitely very mind-expanding interview, I would say, this entire discussion on Metaverse and utility. So thank you for being with us. And maybe we will see you again on this channel.
Yes. I'm gonna look at the interview later now also, because it was live, and I'm looking forward to see again. And if you have more questions, don't hesitate to contact me. And I love I love the Stobox project, and for sure we're gonna collaborate.
Thank you, Dereck.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.
Bye.